In 1969, Muammar Gaddafi seized control of Libya through a military coup. Gaddafi's coup strategy capitalized on the existing discontent with the ruling regime and the country's political instability. Before the coup, King Idris's regime was struggling with significant political and economic issues. The mismanagement of oil revenues had created widespread dissatisfaction among the populace. Gaddafi gained popular support by quickly securing military bases and launching an effective propaganda campaign. His success was due not only to military strategy, but also to his keen understanding of social dynamics. In this context, Gaddafi's leadership was seen as a solution to the socio-economic problems, leveraging the existing discontent to his advantage. Before the 1969 coup, Libya under King Idris faced significant political, economic, and social challenges. Despite having vast oil reserves, the management of these resources was inefficient, and the wealth generated did not benefit the majority of the population. Economic disparities and corruption created deep fissures in Libyan society. The lack of adequate social services, especially in rural areas, impacted living standards and fueled discontent. The educational and healthcare shortcomings highlighted the regime's failures and set the stage for Gaddafi's coup. Thus, the coup was not merely a political shift, but also a response to pressing social and economic grievances. After coming to power, Gaddafi implemented a series of social reforms aimed at transforming Libyan society. He introduced free and compulsory education for all children, aiming to promote educational equity. In the healthcare sector, state-supported services were expanded, improving the infrastructure and access to medical care. Women's rights were also advanced, with increased educational and employment opportunities. However, these reforms had limited societal impact due to resistance in some regions and traditional norms. While educational improvements were noticeable in urban areas, rural regions continued to experience inequality. This discrepancy highlighted the challenges Gaddafi faced in implementing equitable social reforms. The Libyan public reacted in various ways to Gaddafi's rise to power. Initially, Gaddafi's promises of social and economic reforms created a positive reception. However, over time, his style of governance and restrictions on freedoms led to growing discontent. Educational and healthcare reforms were well received in urban areas, but had limited effects in rural regions due to persistent inequalities. For example, while there were improvements in education in cities, rural areas did not see the same level of progress. This situation reflected the limitations of Gaddafi's reforms and the public's mixed reactions to his leadership. Gaddafi's decision to nationalize the oil sector had significant international repercussions. Western countries perceived the nationalization as an economic threat, leading to the withdrawal of major oil companies from Libya. The international community responded with economic sanctions, aiming to isolate Libya economically. Gaddafi circumvented these sanctions through complex financial strategies, including the use of shell companies and secret agreements. This approach allowed him to continue trading oil and managing funds through hidden accounts, affecting Libya's diplomatic relations and contributing to its international isolation. The Gaddafi era was marked by significant corruption and bribery scandals. Gaddafi amassed wealth through the misappropriation of state funds and corrupt practices. Bribes were commonly used in international business dealings and major projects. For instance, Gaddafi reportedly provided bribes to local officials in various countries to influence economic and political strategies. This practice not only affected Libya's internal and external policies, but also contributed to significant diplomatic tensions. The scandals surrounding Gaddafi's administration highlighted the deep-seated corruption and its impact on Libya's governance and international standing. Libya's oil economy played a crucial role in shaping the country's economic structure. Oil revenues were a key source of funding for state expenditures and social services. However, the management and distribution of these revenues were marred by corruption and inefficiency. The focus on oil revenues limited the development of other sectors and exacerbated economic inequalities. The concentration of wealth in state-controlled and personal accounts restricted broader economic development. The oil economy's impact was thus profound, affecting Libya's social and economic balance and highlighting the challenges of resource management. The Great Man-Made River Project aimed to transport water from the desert regions to coastal areas, representing a major engineering achievement. However, the project faced financial and management challenges during its implementation. Other significant infrastructure projects included the expansion of transportation networks and the construction of energy facilities, funded largely by oil revenues. Despite their ambition, these projects encountered issues related to high costs and ineffective management. For example, the Great Man-Made River Project's financial requirements strained Libya's economic resources, and planning deficiencies contributed to its partial success. Gaddafi's international investments were extensive, focusing on luxury properties across Europe and other regions. His portfolio included high-end residences, hotels, and business centers, particularly in Switzerland and France. These assets were acquired using shell companies and offshore accounts to maintain financial secrecy. For instance, secret accounts in Swiss banks and luxury real estate in European cities were significant components of Gaddafi's wealth. His international investments not only reflected his financial strategies, but also influenced global business dynamics. These investments were integral to his broader economic and diplomatic maneuvers. After Gaddafi's death, Libya's reconstruction process faced significant challenges due to the devastation of civil war and ongoing political instability. International aid and support were provided, but their effectiveness was limited by internal issues. The reconstruction aimed to stabilize the country, promote economic development, and foster social cohesion. However, the legacy of war and political uncertainty complicated these efforts. International organizations and nations attempted to support Libya's recovery, but internal conflicts and governance issues constrained their impact. The success of the reconstruction process depended on managing both internal challenges and external support effectively. Following Gaddafi's death, Libya entered a period of significant political and economic transformation. Gaddafi's legacy continued to influence Libya's current state, shaping its political and economic landscape. The effects of corruption, wealth management, and civil war during Gaddafi's reign left lasting impacts on Libya's current situation. The country's political and economic structures were shaped by Gaddafi's era, affecting its international relations, economic policies, and social dynamics. The ongoing influence of Gaddafi's legacy has played a crucial role in determining Libya's future direction and its international interactions.